Now on Brooklyn News Live, we are standing by for the president to step out into the Roosevelt Room for a press conference with tech leaders. It could come at any moment. We're standing by for it to begin. And even more breaking news. We're learning moments ago that the Lindsay Clancy trial, now in its fourth week, is wrapping up today over some unforeseen circumstances. We're not only going to tell you more about that, but we're going to recap what is going on in all of this. Stick with us for that. And the elections held yesterday across the nation. We've got more on that coming up for you on this Wednesday edition of Brooklyn News Live.
Brooklyn News Live starts right now with breaking news.
Welcome into Brooklyn News Live. I'm Jackson Mitchell. It is Wednesday, August 19th, 2026. And we do begin with breaking news. Right now, we are standing by because we believe, well, at any moment, the president could step out into the Roosevelt Room and begin speaking. We are monitoring it, and as soon as the president steps out with those tech leaders there at the White House, we will take you there live. So stick with us for that. Again, at any moment that could begin. Alrighty, we do want to take you right now though over to Plymouth, Michigan, Minnesota, where we are following even more breaking news. Take a look at video being played from this morning. This is from the trial. Again, as I noted in the intro, there now in its fourth week, wrapping up over some unforeseen circumstances. We'll talk more about that coming up here in just a few moments. I want to take you right now live to the White House where the president has just stepped out, and let's listen in.
Serious group of people here. If you're into the world of finance like I am, I love finance. There's a who's who with us today. It's amazing that you don't know some of these people, but anybody in finance knows every one of them, and I want to thank them for being here today. We're delighted to welcome some of our nation's brightest minds in finance, crypto, and technology ahead of the first ever meeting of the CFTC's Innovation Advisory Committee in Washington, D.C. This is a group of very smart people that are on a committee to recommend what we do. Right, Paul? They're going to be telling us a little bit, but I think Paul knows maybe more than anybody. He's doing a great job. We're all happy with Paul, I think, right? He's been absolutely fantastic. Crypto markets and the prediction markets and conventional finance to decentralized finance. The people in this room are ensuring that the future of commercial markets is pioneered and perfected. Right here in the USA, we're fighting a lot of other countries to control these markets and to have these markets and to profit and all the jobs and everything else created, and we're doing well. We're leading in every aspect, including AI, and we're leading by a lot. And we want to keep it that way. I want to thank the chairman of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, Mike Selick, for his tremendous leadership. And come here. Thank you, Mike. I didn't recognize you from so close. And thanks as well to a very special man, a man that everybody respected for a long time. Yeah, he's a man I wanted to do this job, head of the SEC. Chairman Paul Atkins, who's also doing an outstanding job in everything else he touches. He's doing a lot of things for the country, so I want to thank you very much. Great job. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Paul. We're also pleased to be joined by Executive Director of the President's Council with advisors with the digital asset. All of the digital assets are all put into one, Patrick Witt, and many other top industry leaders, including Coinbase. Where's Brian? Brian Armstrong, CEO. He's one of the greats. Where is he? Where are you? Oh, you look well. You get much younger. You look good. CEO of International and Intercontinental Exchange, Jeff Sprecher. One of the things, a little thing called the New York Stock Exchange. He owns a thing called the New York Stock Exchange. Quite a nice asset, right?
Yes, it is.
CEO of NASDAQ, Adina Friedman. Thank you very much, Adina. Great job you're doing. CEO of Robinhood, Vlad Tenev. Thank you, Vlad. Nice to see you. And CEO of Kraken, Arjun Sethi. And thank you very much, wherever you are. Thank you very much. Great group of people. We also have some others here that we wanted them, where's Mike, co-founder of CEO of CTO and president of BitGo, which is a big deal in the world of that thing, that little thing that's happening out there. And Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple. Brad? Thanks, sir. Thank you very much, Brad. Sergey Nazarov, co-founder of Chainlink Labs. Thank you very much. Good, Sergey. Good job. Arjan, you're here. Arjan? I'm still here. You're here? You haven't left? Peter Smith is here, and Tyler and Cameron Winklevoss have tremendous people, tremendous investors, brilliant people. Chris Dixon is here, and I think I've sort of got anybody I didn't mention, by the way. Pretty much got the whole group. Good. They gave me 4 sets of lists, and that's always a little complex. You never want to say one more than 3 times. Under the crooked Joe Biden administration, the spirit of innovation that built America was under serious attack like never before, and nowhere was that more true than crypto and other new financial technologies, where we were going to be taken to the cleaners by China and other countries. The radical left tried to crush these developments with crippling regulations, brutal restrictions, weaponization. They used weaponization, political weaponization, and constant targeting that drove innovation overseas, and they wanted to drive it out. And at the end of toward the end of the campaign, if you remember, they decided they liked it very much because there were over 100 million people that were liking Trump a lot more because I was in favor of it. They were against it, and they became very much in favor of it. But by that time, it was too late. And besides, those days are all over. That was a terrible period of time for a lot of very good, very honorable financial people. On day one, we fired Joe Biden's rogue SEC chair, Gary Gensler. I think we like Paul better. Do we agree? We like Paul better? Number one, he's smarter. He's also smarter, by the way. But we fired him. We got him the hell out of here. We terminated the so-called Operation Choke Point 2.0, which is what the name of their operation was, weaponization. And we ended the war on crypto once and for all. And it's been booming. It's been doing big, and nobody's been able to break in. China would like to break in. They're still trying, but they have been able to. I signed a historic executive order banning any attempt to create a central bank digital currency. We launched Project Crypto to modernize rules so that our financial markets can move into blockchain technology. I established the United States Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, making Bitcoin a permanent asset of the United States Treasury, which has turned out incredibly well. I also created the United States Digital Asset Stockpile to hold custody of all other digital assets, and that's exactly what it's done. It's been amazing. 1 year ago this summer, I signed landmark legislation known as the Genius Act. I named it after myself. I didn't want to use my name, so I just called it the Genius Act, paving the way for widespread adoption of dollar-backed stablecoins. And that's worked out very well. Every single American benefits enormously from our country's status as the financial center of the world, and we want to keep it that way. We're leading by leaps and bounds. We've gained so much in the last 16 months like nobody can believe, actually. Not only that, but we have more money being invested in the United States than any country at any time in history. Money's coming in by the trillions. Our nation's economic dominance drives trillions of dollars in investments, creates millions of jobs, and expands access, credit, and capital so that every citizen has a chance to achieve what we now hear a lot about, the American dream. Young people are looking for the American dream. They weren't thinking about that 2 years ago. New financial technologies are extending this American dominance into the 21st century, and that's why we're focused on creating a clear regulatory framework for pioneers and builders like the people that are with me here, so that they can do business with confidence on American soil. They don't have to go to other countries to do their business. We're ensuring that America remains the undisputed leader, not only in Bitcoin and crypto, but also technologies like prediction markets, artificial intelligence, and much more. And we're leading in every single one. And I will tell you, the AI, the artificial intelligence, we're way ahead of number two. Number two is China. and I never want to underestimate China, but right now we're way ahead. President Xi's coming on September 24th. We look forward to it. We'll probably be talking about AI and a lot of other things, but we're doing tremendously well, largely because of people and some other friends of ours that are on the board, and they'll be here in 2 weeks, I understand. In May, Chairman Selig authorized the first ever true Bitcoin perpetual futures contract on a CFTC registered exchange, first time. I understand that Mike is also working to bring hyperliquid into the United States in a fully compliant and legal fashion. It's working very hard on that. We would really like to see interest rates come down. You know, in the old days with interest rates, many of you are too young to know this, but when we announced good numbers, interest rates would go down. And the theory was because the asset value became so good, it became so prime. But now when we announce good numbers, which we're doing all the time, they keep driving the interest rates up because they're so afraid of inflation. And they shouldn't be. They should allow interest rates to go down. When you announce good numbers, you shouldn't drive them up. They keep thinking that we'll drive them up to stop inflation, because success and growth does not cause inflation. Other things cause inflation. We inherited the #1 inflation ever in the history of our country from Biden, and it lifted prices and everything else, and we're getting them all down. But interest rates should be allowed to fall with the success of our country, not rise because of the success. But we're also on the very beginning of a revolution in fictional and financial. You take a look at some of the things that are being done on a financial basis and the financial technology that's the potential to create more jobs, opportunity, and wealth for all Americans. And that's what it's doing. It's creating jobs and great wealth. And I think that can't be better seen by the stock market. So we've had 80 in a short period of time, a year and a half. We've had 80 days where the stock market hit all-time highs. I haven't looked today. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't look. I don't want to look. But I think I hear it's good. But we've had 80 days, Jeff, where the stock market has hit an all-time high, and nobody's ever seen anything like that. And I think bringing it down to another level, and maybe a higher level from the standpoint of importance, 401ks have hit record highs on almost 40% of the time that I've been President of the United States, and that affects tens of millions of people. The 401ks are at record numbers. So 2 years ago, our country was dead, and now our country is the hottest country anywhere in the world. There's nobody close. No other country is close, and every country will admit it. So now we need Congress to take the next step by passing the Clarity Act, a fair version of the Clarity Act, and this landmark structure legislation. It's a very, very powerful structured legislation which will keep us ahead of China, keep us ahead of everyone else. Will open the door to the next wave of innovations and innovators. So I'd like to ask Chairman Selig to say a few words and a little bit of the details about what we're doing, and then we'll follow it up with Chairman Atkins and Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong, Intercontinental Exchange CEO Jeff Sprecher, Robinhood CEO Vlad Tenev, and Kraken CEO Arjan. So we have that all set, and let's get going. And you know what? If you want to speak for a very short period of time, that's okay too.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's an honor to be here with you and this exceptional group of business leaders. Thanks to your leadership, the era of political lawfare, debanking, and regulation by enforcement is over. Innovators like the people in this room are welcome to the White House, not railroaded to the big house. And the new frontier of finance is being built right here in the United States of America. From day one, this president has been clear. America will not fall behind and allow other countries to take its place as the greatest country on earth to build a new technology, operate a business, and invest for the future. The world will run on the backbone of American technology. Under President Trump's leadership, we've codified the Genius Act, established a strategic Bitcoin reserve, drawn a clear line in the sand between crypto securities and commodities, launched the first U.S. crypto perpetual, and protected the rights of software developers. We've exiled Gary Gensler, defeated the anti-crypto army, and made the United States the crypto capital of the world. I'm proud to be working with Secretary Lutnick in the Department of Commerce as well to make America the compute capital of the world. This may be the most important commodity of our day. Some call it digital oil. And America needs to dominate these markets to win the AI race. We've also protected federally regulated prediction markets from rogue state attorneys generals like Letitia James, who seek to nullify federal law and drive these markets offshore to unregulated and foreign venues. American dominance in the technologies that will define the future remains unmatched. We are truly in a golden age of American innovation. Now, the United States has a choice. We can either write the rules that define the next generation of financial markets, or we can let other countries write them for us. With Congress advancing the Clarity Act towards the finish line, we stand ready to implement the bill once the President signs it. But we'll use every tool available to move the President's pro-innovation agenda forward in the meantime. Tomorrow at the inaugural meeting of the CFTC's Innovation Advisory Committee, I look forward to sharing more details on our regulatory path forward. A path forward that provides greater certainty for innovators while reinforcing confidence in our markets for decades to come. This President has assembled an extraordinary team of entrepreneurs, builders, investors, and business leaders advising in government, like David Sachs, of course, and Patrick Witt. This real-world experience has already brought valuable perspectives into policymaking, and it will continue to pay dividends for the American people. Innovation depends on regulatory clarity. Clear rules create confidence, confidence attracts investment, and investment creates jobs, strengthens our markets, and keeps the world's best talent building here in America. Mr. President, thank you again for your leadership and for making American innovation great again. The work we're doing now to shape the future of our great nation will do measures for decades to come. Now, I'm honored to introduce the most pro-innovation, pro-free market SEC chairman in America's history, and it's not Gary Gensler, of course. It's Paul Atkins. So, Mr. Chairman, please.
Well, thank you, Mike, and thank you, Mr. President, for having us here today. From day one, you've made our nation's financial dominance and innovation job one. We at the SEC are delivering on your agenda. We're making IPOs great again, to continue on your theme, by cutting red tape that discourages companies from going public. Under your leadership, Mr. President, the IPO market is booming. Since Inauguration Day, 583 companies have gone public, and that's up 75% compared to the final year and a half of the Biden administration. And those companies have raised an impressive $208 billion, and that's nearly 4 times the amount raised during the final year and a half of the previous administration. So that's just not incremental progress. That is a turnaround. You've committed to making the United States the crypto capital of the world. And yesterday, the SEC, I'm proud to say, took another significant step to deliver on that. Our proposal, the crypto assets rule, would provide crypto entrepreneurs like those here in this room and job creators the certainty to raise capital in the United States using digital assets. This action is consonant with our belief that the most important priority is for Congress to send the Clarity Act to your desk for your signature. And the SEC is doing everything we can to support that work. So thank you again, Mr. President, for leading this nation to ensure that we continue to have the strongest markets in the world, to reshore innovation, and to welcome, yes, a whole new generation of investors through the Trump accounts. So under your leadership, we will make sure that the greatest advances of the technological frontier are right here in America. So thank you very much.
Well, this morning I was thinking back to the 2024 campaign where the president, I think, very astutely recognized there was millions of voters in the United States who felt disenfranchised by the prior administration. And he made a commitment at that time to make America the crypto capital of the world. And within weeks of taking office, delivered on that promise. And it started first with this executive order, which came out ordering the agencies in his administration to take steps in this direction. He shortly thereafter appointed 2 of the most competent and pro-innovation regulators anywhere in the world, Chair Selig and Chair Atkins, and of course fired Gary Gensler. There was that big applause line at the Bitcoin conference, which was powerful. And of course, the Genius Act was another milestone just in the past year, along with the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, et cetera. And just this week, I have to commend Chair Atkins for publishing this new rule that allows crypto projects to raise capital in the U.S. for the first time. There's clarity on that. And Chair Seelig, we're excited to attend the advisory committee meeting tomorrow to make progress there. So an incredible amount of progress has been made, and I think what's most important next, of course, is this September 15th vote that we have with the Clarity Act. This would make all of the progress that this administration has made durable into the future, so it could survive for decades and decades to come. And make no mistake, there are folks out there who they want to see this legislation not happen, right? Maybe some of the big banks don't want the competition from crypto companies. Other banks are leaning in and have endorsed it, which I think is really powerful. And so if we all come together, I think we can get this bill over the finish line and hopefully get more than 60 votes come September 15th. Thank you.
And it's very bipartisan, I would say. So
very,
you could say that very much.
That is true.
A lot of Democrat support.
There's hundreds of pages of changes that have come in from the Democrat side as well. It's a true bipartisan compromise, and yeah, it's a great it's a great work product. So up next, I think, is Jeff Sprecher.
Sorry.
Thank you. Mr. President, I just wanted to tell you that, that your trade policies of fair trade to bring back jobs and businesses from overseas, your energy dominance policies to fuel the next generation of technology in the United States, your big, beautiful bill that created incentives for investments has led to the records that you're hearing about in our stock markets, the record number of IPOs. And as you know from working with my wife who works on private businesses, there's a record number of business formations in this country right now. So we're here to talk about how to evolve regulation so that we don't impede that progress. But one of the things I can tell you about the New York Stock Exchange is that it was formed at the time of our country. And so it, for 250 years, has been subject to every single financial services regulation that has ever passed in the United States, bar none. And so one of the things that I'm so thankful that you've done is put two really strong chairs in these seats and ask them to go through past legislation, regulation, and figure out what we can get rid of that no longer serves the interests of this country. And for that, I really appreciate that on behalf of the New York Stock Exchange.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, thank you for bringing us together and for your work to ensure the next generation of Americans has a stake in the country's economic success through the Trump accounts and many other things. Thank you also to Chair Seelig, Chair Atkins, your administration, for the work underway to strengthen American capital markets and expand opportunity for all Americans. If I had to sum up Robinhood in one word, it would be ownership. Broad ownership is essential to a free, stable, and prosperous society. That belief has shaped pretty much every product we've built, from commission-free investing to 24-hour trading, and now outside the United States to tokenization, which we're using to expand ownership of American assets to people in more than 120 countries. Yet this innovation is reaching investors abroad before investors here back home. And the opportunity goes far beyond public markets. Tokenization will open up markets that have long been out of reach, including private companies. Today, too much economic value is being created before ordinary investors get a chance to participate. Expanding ownership also requires protecting investors. Innovation and investor protection aren't opposing goals. America became the world's capital markets capital by doing both, and the chairs here understand that. American companies are building this technology. American markets are powering it. American assets are also at the center of it. American investors should not be the last to benefit. We look forward to continue to work together to expand ownership, build the next generation of capital markets, and ensure America leads the way. Thank you.
Great job.
Arjun.
Hello, everyone. I was thinking about what I was going to say today. Most of the time, I don't speak too much, but the first time I met the president, he said, what does your company do? And I said, we're a startup. We move at warp speed. And the first thing he said is, why not at Trump speed? So we started acting in that way. Look, our mission at Kraken isn't about Kraken. Brian created Coinbase.
Alrighty, you have been listening in there as President Trump is meeting with tech leaders there at the White House. We will continue to monitor that feed there live from the White House and bring you updates when we get that. We do believe that maybe there is a possibility that the president at this event will begin to take questions. If he does, the feed's ready for you. We are standing by and we will listen back in that moment. Actually could be coming right now. I don't believe anyone else is going to speak. Let us check right now. I thought we might have had another person speaking. Why don't we take you back into the room right now? Excuse me, we're going to dip for just a moment, but it looks as if we might see the president begin to take questions. Okay, maybe yet another person is going to speak. So what we're going to do here on Brookland is Live, sneak in a quick commercial break, and then when we come back, if the president is taking questions, we'll take you there. If he is not, we got a few other stories coming up for you, including a recap of last night's election. So stick with us for that. That is coming up here on Brookland News Live in just a few moments. We'll bring you that coming up. Plus, a delay in the Lindsay Clancy trial. Why the judge dismissed the day for, quote, unforeseen circumstances. We're right back in just a moment. Okay, welcome back here into Brookland News Live. Again, we are awaiting for the president to take questions. We have that graphic prepared for you just in case he did begin taking reporter questions. He's still speaking from the White House. Again, here and there, continuing appearing on that script that he has in front of him. If he takes questions, we'll take you there live here in just a few moments. We do want to get to this story right now. This on the Lindsay Clancy trial. We were discussing it a few moments ago. It's a developing story that has just come to us within the last little bit. So we want to bring you guys up to date on what exactly happened here. You're taking a look at the courtroom from earlier today. It appears as the point of this feed was when they were in a break. But again, as the trial is in its fourth week, it wrapped up early this afternoon after a judge excused the jury following the lunch recess, citing what he only described as an, quote, unforeseen circumstance. Now, court is still set to resume tomorrow morning. What all happened here before the abrupt end to the day was Judge William Sullivan. He ruled on an unusual side issue that's been bubbling up around the trial for weeks. So there was still some motions coming this morning before the early adjournment. A TikToker named Emily Thorndike, a former social worker at McLean Hospital where Clancy was treated, went viral, pushing back on how prosecutors described the facility in court. Now, defense attorney Kevin Wrightington tried to call her as a witness after seeing her video, even hiring a private investigator to track her down. The judge heard her out without the jury present, but ultimately ruled she cannot testify in front of jurors. So that's a big story there. Now, this all kind of just a reminder of how much this case has taken on to the online world. There has been a lot of TikTok or social media people involved. I was actually listening, if you guys know what News Nation is, it's a smaller cable news network, and they were on a show with Como, that's what it's called, with Chris Como hosting. They had viewers call in, and one of the viewer even brought an idea out, and I'm not gonna say this is true or not. Obviously, it's not my job to do, it's the jury's job to do, but it's not even the question in this case. But had said that the husband had done it all. The husband had killed the kids. Even though the defense here, the attorneys, including Lindsay Clancy, have said she is guilty of the killings, but should not be charged because she couldn't essentially tell right from wrong because she was suffering from a severe case of postpartum psychosis. Alrighty, so that's a big story that we are following right now. The president is taking questions right now from reporters. We want to take you back into the White House as the president, again, just moments ago, was meeting with tech leaders. He's taking questions. Let's listen in.
It's anywhere in the world. And I can say if I were the mayor of a town or the governor of a state and I had a chance to get a big plant in, an AI plant or a data center, I would absolutely want it because the jobs are enormous and the money paid, the taxes paid are just enormous. And if you don't take it, you're going to be left behind because there are plenty of places that want it. So I would say that maybe it can use a little public relations help. But if I were a governor or mayor, I would want that plant in my community, and many of them are designed in a very beautiful way. It's really very positive. Okay, thank you.
A little off topic. So you mentioned Joe Biden and some of the past leadership, and it's been about 69 days since we've seen Mitch McConnell. Sometimes when you look at Congress, it looks like the cast of Cocoon. But I read a Cindy Adams column in the New York Post recently, and she talked about how we need term limits and someone needs to hold Congress accountable. Maybe you should be the person to do it. Would you support term limits for Congress or some type of cognitive testing? Because maybe if we had that the last 4 years, we wouldn't have ended up in some of these messes.
So term limits are very popular with the public. I've seen it both ways. I've seen where people go in and they get termed out and they're very talented and they're at the height of their career, politicians. And you end up with total rookies in there, nothing gets done. And I've seen it the other way where people are there too long. We see that all the time. I see both. I always like to say that a term limit is an election. The public's pretty smart. You see that last night. We had some great success last night. The Republican Party had tremendous success last night. But I like to say that term limits should be elections. But I'm okay with term limits. Remember, the people that have to pass term limits are the people that are going to be voting on them to get out of office. So it's a little bit tough. That's not the easiest vote to get, is it, huh? But I'm okay with it one way or the other. I do think elections really term people out.
Mr. President, I want to ask you about Canada, but first, the Treasury Secretary says that we could see the most impactful sanctions on Iran this week. When will they come, and what else could be sanctioned on Iran? Well,
we have things that we could sanction. We have very draconian sanctions, and we'll see what happens. Right now, the strait is open. A lot of boats are coming through. People aren't reporting that, and that may slow down a little bit at some point. But right now, a lot of boats are coming through. The naval blockade has been extremely effective. Zero, literally while it's up, and that's been for quite a while, except for a couple of little pauses where we opened it purposely with a deal. But the deal didn't terminate. The deal didn't turn out to be what they said. When they tell us one thing and they do another. But the blockade has been 100% successful. No boats have gotten into Iran, but they are getting in for other places. But we'll see. We're going to see what happens. It'll either be extremely good and oil prices are going to drop like a rock, or we'll continue to do exactly what we're doing. They were talking about $350 a barrel, and it's today 84, 85. And we are getting a lot of oil out. But the other thing that's happened is people have found other alternatives, which they never thought about. Texas, Alaska, Louisiana, and other places. In addition, a lot of pipelines, record numbers of pipelines are being built. So I think the Hormuz Strait's not going to be quite as important as it was in the past.
Now, on Canada, if I could ask you, you said that there's a deal, an agreement in place. Are you willing to lower tariffs on steel and aluminum?
Well, we're looking at that.
In order to get farmers...
Well, we're getting zero for our farmers. Farmers have been hurt very badly by Canada. and they won't be paying any tariffs anymore. And we may bring some of the tariffs down to a level where other countries are, because Canada was paying a higher tariff. Canada was paying us a higher tariff. So we are, look, we have a very nice relationship with leadership right now, and we'll see. But we did a 3-day pause. It was supposed to be a 50% straight across the board tariff. That was going into effect at 7 o'clock this morning. And I delayed it at the request of Canada for 3 days so we can iron out the details. But it's going to be a wonderful deal, hopefully a wonderful deal for everybody. Yeah.
Mr. President, earlier today you said North Korea has something like 57 nuclear weapons. They've been expanding their nuclear program. Is your goal in trying to re-engage with Chairman Kim still denuclearization? And what makes you think you could be successful now when you weren't?
Well, I don't want to talk about that, but I do have a good relationship with Kim Jong-un. As you know, you've seen. He didn't like Biden. He didn't like Obama. He didn't like anybody, but he likes me, and I just got along with him very good. We had great meetings. We speak, and I think our nation, and I think other nations, frankly, whether it's Japan or South Korea, they're a lot safer if I'm president than if somebody else is president. Now, I didn't like the fact that we're doing these massive military exercises, really against North Korea. It was an exercise against North Korea. When I'm friendly with him, when we have, I don't see anything happening for certainly 2.5 years. It's not going to happen with me, but I don't see anything happening. And I was not happy when South Korea said, no, they're not interested in helping us with the Hormuz Strait, and yet they get 60% of their oil from the Hormuz Strait. I said, would you like to help us? He said, no, thank you. I said, that's nice, please, thank you. He made us a lot of money. I didn't like that. So I felt that to do we were doing a massive war exercise. I thought that was very insulting to somebody that, frankly, has been, during my term at least, very well behaved. Yeah.
On the bond market, is the administration done enough to stabilize the bond market after yesterday?
Well, I think it is, but I mean, it's very sad. Every time we do great, we announce great numbers, the interest rates go up. And they go up because they want to stop inflation. They should go down because the country's strong. You know, I see countries like Switzerland where they're the #1 lowest interest rates, 0.5%, and we pay 3.5%. And yet, if we stop doing business, for instance, I have the absolute right to cut off all business with a country like Switzerland, like anything. So why are they prime if I can cut off the business and they are no longer functional? And yet they're considered to be like an elite country. And I don't want to single them out because there's 60 countries like that. They live off the United States. So why are we paying higher interest rates than them? You know, in the old days, we used to pay the lowest interest rate, no matter how we were doing, because we sort of generate for the whole world. And I want to see it where interest rate, and I have to tell you, we have a wonderful chairman. I think he's doing a great job. The problem is he has a board, and it's a political board. It's people put in by Obama, Biden, and me. And there are quite a few members still left, as you understand. And so they vote to raise interest rates. I don't know if they're doing it because they think they're doing a good thing or because they like the politics of it. But my point is, years ago, 25 years ago, when the country announced good numbers, interest rates went down because we had a stronger country. Now when we announce good numbers, the better they are, the worse it is for interest rates. So we could have a GDP of 10 times. You know, they say, oh, it's going to be 3 times or 4.1. We could have a GDP of 10, 12, 15 times if they just leave us alone. Let the rates go down. We should pay the lowest interest rates. You know, every point of interest is $600 billion. Think of that. Every point of interest is $600 billion. 2 points means we make a fortune. But we keep driving it up. It's a very unfair system. And I've said it now for a long time. When our country does well, interest rates should go down. I mean, every time I hear our country's doing well, I say, oh, it's too bad, because they lift up interest rates. They should drop interest rates because it means we have a strong country. And it's all based on credit, meaning good credit. And we have the best credit. And we'd pay off the debt very easily, very quickly. But if somebody's paying 0.5 point, we should be paying 0.5 point, not somebody else. Right now, I think it's Switzerland has the lowest. Again, and I don't want to single them out, but if you take our business away from Switzerland, they have problems. So why are they paying 0.5 point and we're paying much more than that? Does that make sense to anybody? I mean, it seems pretty simple to me, but it's a killer. You know, I almost like to hear bad numbers. I'm saying, I hope we have bad numbers today. Interest rates will go down. It doesn't make sense. When our business is good, we should lower interest rates. And then you want to build America, you're going to see a building like you've never seen. We're doing great, even despite the fact of what's happening with interest rates.
Should Americans be concerned about this volatility in the bond market?
No, I don't think so, because like I said, our country is doing so well despite interest rates. We have interest rates that are they're actually artificially high. They raise them for no reason. And you can't go out to the market when you have a Fed that's raising interest. You can't say, oh, I want to pay 3 points less than what the Fed says you're supposed to be paying. So, no, I don't think so at all. I think we have a very powerful country, and we're powering through these ridiculous interest rates. They're ridiculous. Look, when our country is strong, interest rates should go down. When our country is weak, frankly, they should go up. But this country is strong. There's never been in history the kind of money coming into a country as we have right now. Trillions and trillions of dollars are being invested in plants, factories, everything. Everything you can think of. We're the hottest country in the world. We are by far, and I said it 100 times, the king of Saudi Arabia, but many people, they said 2 years ago, 3 years ago, your country was dead. Now you have the hottest country in the world. That's what we have. We have the hottest country in the world, and these people are helping us a lot. Thank you very much, everybody. Come on to the Oval Office. We're going to take them into the Oval Office. We're going to show them a real office, okay? Their offices are nice, but this is nice.
Did you watch Donald Graham's debate, Mr. President?
Thank you, press.
Alrighty, the president taking those big tech leaders into the White House after taking questions, not for too long, but speaking on a number of issues, including the Iran war, where things with the economy stand. We'll have more of a recap on what the president has just said in that meeting with big tech leaders coming up in just a few moments. In the meantime, look at the few of the cameras we're following right now. We are going to sneak in a very quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have another big story. Speaking of elections, yesterday was midterms, I should say primary night in several states ahead of the midterms. We'll talk more about that coming up here in just a few moments. I did take a live look there at the White House on the Washington, the National Mall there, or on top of the Washington Monument. And then a live look in Brookland as we are watching right now where school traffic is going to pick up here at any moment. So you'll be able to see that on this camera here. Coming up in just a few moments, more news and more of the big stories making headlines across our nation. Stick with us. We're back in just 2 minutes. Okay, welcome back live here in the Brookland News Live. We're following several big stories from the nation's capital, especially when we talk about the White House and the Iran war. Just major updates coming from there. This one is a big one, coming from the White House, as the president in a new interview saying he would, quote, bomb the SH out of Oman if they were to get in the way. That's just one of the few big stories that we're following right now from the White House. Let's take you to some of the footage that we're getting out of Iran as you take a look there at some of the footage. President Trump again threatening to bomb a longtime U.S. ally over its efforts to end the war in Iran. Trump told Fox News this week that the U.S. would, quote, bomb the SH out of Oman if the country, quote, gets in the way of U.S. efforts to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, after Iran's foreign ministry said Tehran had reached its own agreement with Oman on how to manage shipping through the waterway. Now, the threat came as a 60-day U.S.-Iran negotiating window expired back on Monday with no deal in place. The big story here, because as of today, Trump says there are, quote, no talks or conversations going on or scheduled with Tehran at all. The big takeaway from all of this is this is not the first time that the president has threatened Oman, which has never entered the conflict and has positioned itself as a neutral party throughout the war in Iran. So again, that is the takeaway from all of this. Now, in response, Democrats already reacting. Senator Tim Kaine, the Democrat, saying, quote, saying that he will introduce a resolution when the Senate returns from recess to bar military action against Oman without congressional approval. Meanwhile, shipping traffic through the strait has nearly has really come to a halt, with just 13 ships passing through over the entire weekend. Moments ago, the president at the White House saying that the Strait of Hormuz won't be a big deal anymore after it has been shut down for so long, saying that these countries have realized that they can come to places in the United States to get the oil that they want. So that at least is what the president was just saying moments ago from the White House. A big story to watch out for there. We're also following this big story because a trade crisis with Canada now being pulled back from the brink last night. President Trump pausing a 50% tariff on about $20 billion worth of Canadian goods less than 2 hours before it was set to take effect at midnight. Quote, Canada and the USA, subject to the finalization of documents, have a deal! Exclamation point there. The Trump posted on Truth Social yesterday, adding the Keystone XL pipeline, quote, may be awoken from the grave. The tariffs would have hit everything from hockey sticks all the way to lumber, wine, clothing, all of that included in these tariffs. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney was more cautious in his own statement, saying, quote, substantial progress has been made, although there is important work still to be done. Now, the pause is only going to buy 3 days here for the conversations to continue between the U.S. and Canada. The tariffs would still kick in Friday if the two sides can finalize the deal, which U.S. trade officials at this point in time, they have said this will include new market access for American goods and changes to duties on Canadian dairy, alcohol, and autos. So a big story there coming from the White House that we are following right now. So we'll have to see where things go at this point in time ahead of Friday. It's a big story to watch. We also are keeping you guys all up to date on the midterms 2026, and it looks like we may have lost a camera there, but we do want to give you our biggest takeaways from election night, as several thousands of politicians are vowing to go to the Capitol, head to Capitol Hill. So a live look right now at the White House as, again, a vow to get to Capitol Hill is in full speed. As yesterday, 4 states went to the polls, and the results are already giving both parties something to think about heading into November, of course. Lots to think about as we head into November and gear up for our coverage this midterms. In Florida, Democrat Socialist State Representative Angie Nixon pulled off a major upset, defeating former National Security official Alex Vindman for the Democratic Senate nomination in a special election for Marco Rubio's old seat. Now, she will face Republican Senator Ashley Moody in November. Now, this is just the latest in a pattern this year of progressive candidates knocking off better funded, more establishment Democrats in primary after primary. Now, this is a story that we've discussed so much right here on Brooklyn News Live, the future of where things stand, especially when we talk about the socialism in the Democrat Party, and is that really where Democrats want to go? So again, that is something that we have discussed so thoroughly right here on Brooklyn News Live, and it's something that we are going to continue to keep our eyes on, excuse me, because again, it is such a big story. Okay, sorry about that delay, you guys. So again, the future of the Democratic Party, where things stand there, the as a lot of people have called it, kind of the socialism wing of the Democratic Party. Is it exactly where Democrats want to go? That has been this question these entire elections, and we've discussed, again, as I just noted, so thoroughly right here on Brooklyn News Live. So it's a story that we're going to continue to keep our eyes on and continue searching as we go further. Republicans had their own warning signs, this going back to the Trump-backed Congressman Byron Donalds. As he won Florida's GOP governor primary, he will face Democrat David Jolly in all of this, so that's going to be a big race to watch as well. Now, this comes despite the president's endorsement. He defeated David Jolly despite the president's endorsement, I should say. A massive funding advantage and a split field of rivals. Donalds couldn't even clear 50% of the vote. Now, one Republican fundraiser told CNN the campaign needs to, quote, study why. Also in Florida, scandal-plagued GOP Representative Corey Mills lost his primary outright, and Trump says he already had told Mills to drop out before the vote. So that's not the only big race out of Florida that we're watching, because it was another, again, election night across several other states, including in Wyoming, where Trump-backed Congressman Harriet Hagman won the Republican Senate nomination to replace retiring Senator Cynthia Lummis, setting up a race against Democrat James Byrd in a state that hasn't had an open seat for governor, Senate, and in its lone House seat all at once since 32 years ago. So lots of history being made there in Wyoming. And in Alaska, Republican Senator Dan Sullivan advanced to November after fending off a primary challenge from, well, I'm literally not making this up. This is a big one. Another candidate also named Dan Sullivan. So former Democratic Representative Mary Pelota also advanced on the Democratic side here. So two Dan Sullivans. Dan J. Sullivan is the one who advanced in this race. There was quite literally lots of controversy about, can two people with the same name run at the same time? Well, it came true there in Alaska, that race there. So as we head into November, the big bottom line here, as we have noted so much right here on this show, is Democrats, they are really excited, at least the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, this self-proclaimed socialist wing of the Democratic Party. They're excited for what the future holds, but there is still an outlying issue within the Democratic Party as to where the future stands. And is this progressive socialism wing where the Democratic Party should and wants to go? So we're already starting to see cracks as well in Trump's endorsements power as his approval rating takes a hit as the war in Iran continues. With just over 2 months until the midterms, both parties taking notes here. So a big story. We talked about this on both sides. How powerful is the president's endorsement? Not only that, but how powerful is a Democrat saying that I'm a socialist? So we're going to watch this, and we will bring you guys updates next Tuesday, more elections, and as we head into the midterms, and several candidates are now gearing up for all of that. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have your forecast ready for you. Let's get you right now, before we leave you, to a live look in Brookland, as we will bring you an update on your forecast. Car line should begin at really any moment in time. There you go. The camera just updated. You see the long line of the people of the parents, the grandparents, you could say, even trying to get their kids. When we come back, we'll have an update not only on your forecast, but traffic live there in Brookland, live here in Brookland, I should say. We're back here in just, what about 2 minutes? How does that sound, you guys? Stick with us. Brooklyn News Live continues in just a moment. Welcome back. It's time for your hometown, your weather. Jackson Mitchell still with you here on this Wednesday edition of Brooklyn News Live. A live look there as a card line, not too bad. Looks like some more cards are going to be allowed there down the line. And what you don't know is this camera's going to update in just a second. It's going to show you a long line. That's kind of how sometimes the RDOT cameras like to work. Card line looks like it might have just begun moving. It's 2:58 right now. School releases at about 3 p.m. So it's going to be something to watch here throughout the next little bit as we get you ahead to your 3-day forecast. Things not too bad at all. It's still really hot, but also we're still in August. So it's expected, I think you could say. Going to tonight, it's going to be a low of 75. We talked to you on Monday. There was a chance of some severe weather, chance of some scattered thunderstorms. Yes, that's true, but the severe chances, they have gone down just a little bit. It still remains. It's still something to watch out for. It's still something to keep your phone near you as you go to bed tonight, just in case something does happen. Because these scattered storms and thunderstorms are going to range all the way from the evening into Thursday morning. So it's going to be something to watch for here as we head into tonight. Thursday, high of 92, low of 71. Again, as I just mentioned, some AM thunderstorms are possible early in the morning. By Friday, high of 93 and a low of 70. So again, as I just noted, it is still going to be a hot few days ahead of us, and that is what we are seeing. I want to take a look and see if we can get a look at your forecast a few more days ahead. Looks like it's still going to be hot. 20% chance of rain looks like what we're seeing for the next few days, excuse me. As we take a look at your chances for thunderstorms tonight, 40%, then 30% as we head into Thursday. So it's all going to be something to watch for. Thank you all so much for joining us here on Brooklyn News Live. I really do appreciate it so much. We're going to be back here tomorrow at 2 p.m. I know we missed yesterday. I promise. Actually, I won't say that because you never know, something might come up. I will do my absolute best to be here tomorrow at 2 p.m. 2 to 3, you guys. Got a lot going on tomorrow. I do have a busy schedule, so I don't know what exactly it might look like, but I will do my absolute best. Just a reminder, we try our best. I try my best to be here every weekday at 2 p.m. So join us tomorrow. I'll try to be here. I wish I had like a scale. How likely is Jackson actually going to be here tomorrow? I wish we had that. Maybe I should make something like that and prepare it to show you guys live here on Brooklyn News Live. Thank you for joining us. Have a great rest of your day and stay safe out there, especially in this first week of school traffic, you guys. See you soon.